Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Turquoise, a novel, by Anya Seton, narrated by Maya Beechwood. Author's Note: in this life story, I have tried to keep the background and incidental history accurate. I am deeply grateful to librarians in Santa Fe and New York City, and appreciative of the many fine source books on the period. All the main characters are fictional, except, perhaps, Faye. One summer day, the year before she died, Mary Austin and I drove from Santa Fe to my father's ranch. As we left Mary's beautiful home on the Camino del Monte Sol, we both looked at the guardian peak behind it. The little mountain held for her a mystical significance. We talked of that, and then she said, quite casually, "Once there lived a woman on that slope of Atalaya." There was little more, a few sentences mentioning New York and strange contrast, only the hint of a forgotten legend. I, too, forgot it, during many later visits to Santa Fe. Then one day that rhythmical sentence came back. Once there lived a woman on the slope of Atalaya. I went again to Santa Fe to find the story. I did not find it in the museum or historical libraries or town records, no trace of it in the memory of the Anglos. But at last, in a crumbling adobe near the Chapel of San Miguel, I found an old Spanish-American, and he remembered a little. "It must be, Señora, that you mean La Santa. It was so long ago. I was young then." So here is the story. I do not know, but I believe it may have been something like this. A.S. 1. Santa Fe Cameron was named for the town of her birth, because her Scottish father and a distressed little New Mexican priest could agree on no other name. This was on the 23rd of January, 1850. While a bitter wind blew snow down from the Sangre de Cristo Mountains and darkened by contrast the adobe walls of the New Mexican capital. In a bare, two-room casita on Lower San Francisco Street, the Scot, who was doctor as well as husband, stood beside the priest, staring down at the woolen pallet where Conchita Valdez Cameron had given birth to the baby 3 hours ago. Conchita was dying. Her dark eyes were fixed on her husband's face in unquestioning love, while her already cold hand clutched the crucifix on her breast. The beautiful ivory pallor, her Spanish inheritance, had dulled to a bluish gray as the life of her 18-year-old body flowed away in hemorrhages that Andrew Cameron, for all his skill, was powerless to staunch. The padre had administered the last rites. His concern was now with the feeble infant, prematurely born. It showed every sign of soon following its mother, and must be baptized quickly. "What name shall it be, Doctor?" whispered Padre Miguel to the grim man by the bed. "Maria de la Concepcion, like her mother? Or Juana? Catalina?" He paused, seeing the haggard misery in the other man's face tighten to resistance. "Come, my son," he said with gentle urgency, looking at the baby and thinking that the actual name hardly mattered. "This is the feast day of San Ildefonso. Shall we give her that name?" Except for the hissing of the piñon logs in the high Indian fireplace, there was silence in the small room, which was whitewashed to the same glistening purity as the snow which sifted into the still calle outside. Then the baby gave a faint whimper, and Andrew turned on the priest. "My child shall be named for no whining Spanish saint." Padre Miguel flushed. His fingers, already wet with the holy water, trembled, and an angry rebuke leaped to his tongue. But he checked it. He had encountered the Scottish doctor's stubborn Calvinism before, and he made allowances for the man's anguish. In a nature which showed no softness to the world, it had been astonishing to see the tenderness which this harsh stranger had always given to the girl on the pallet. Nor, to do him justice, had he interfered with Conchita's own faith. During the past months she had been untiring in her prayers to Our Lady of Guadalupe, prayers for forgiveness for the wrong she had done her family, prayers for a safe delivery of the baby within her womb. The priest dimly understood that part of the doctor's violence came from realization that the compassionate mother had not seen fit to answer these prayers, and that lacking the consolation of the true faith, the man had no recourse but blind wrath. So the padre's anger died, but he said inflexibly, "The baby must bear a Catholic name, doctor." The Scot's jaw squared. He opened his mouth to speak, but the girl on the bed stirred, her straining eyes widened. "Please," she whispered. Andrew's face dissolved. He knelt on the hard-packed dirt floor beside the pallet. "Shall we name her Santa Fe, then?" he said softly. "It's papist enough, and—" He stopped, went on with difficulty. "We have been happy here." The padre saw the girl relax, and a wistful smile curve the gray lips, so he dipped his hand again in the holy water. Santa Fe, he thought. The holy faith. Well, why not? He made the sign of the cross on the baby's forehead. In the corner of the room, those two, completely disparate human beings, looked at each other with the great love which had bridged the gulf between them. The smile on Conchita's mouth lost its sadness. She tried to lift her hand toward the blunt face near her own, to smooth away, as she had often done, the furrows in his forehead. She gave a long, gentle sigh, and her hand fell to the sheet. The baby astonished everyone by living. A wet nurse was found for her, Ramona Torres, wife of a lazy and bad-tempered woodcutter who lived across the Santa Fe River, near the chapel of San Miguel, in the poor Analco quarter. La Ramona and her Pedro were dazzled to get 3 monthly pesos for so easy and insignificant a service. It was the little padre who negotiated this transaction by means of 2 gold sovereigns flung him by Andrew after Conchita's burial. For 6 months, Andrew would not look at his child, nor hear mention of her. He shut himself into the room where Conchita had died. He went out to the market in the plaza only when hunger drove him to buy a little food, a handful of frijoles, or some hunks of hard, stringy mutton, which he cooked himself in a pot over the fire and washed down with goat's milk. He lived in an isolation which nobody tried to penetrate, except Padre Miguel, who came back from his visits to the casita thwarted and rebuffed by Andrew's tight-lipped silences. In July, the padre tried a new plan. He sent Ramona with the baby to Andrew, saying, "If he will not let you in, tell him that the little Conchita is watching from paradise, and her mother's heart is very sorrowful." Ramona nodded, her broad peasant face showing no curiosity. She pulled her dirty pink rebozo over her head, wrapped one end of the scarf around the baby, and padded to the cottonwood footbridge across the river, her brown splayed feet raising little puffs of dust on the path to San Francisco Street. Andrew opened the door at Ramona's timid knock. "Here," said the woman, frightened by the expression in the bloodshot eyes that glared at her. "Your baby. El padre say Conchita very sad in paradise, you no see baby." She sidled past the motionless Andrew to lay the swaddled bundle on the only table. Then she darted out the door, murmuring, "Later I come back," and she hurried away to the delights of the plaza and a gossip with friends in the shade of the portales. Andrew shut the door and walked slowly to the table. The baby lay perfectly still, staring at him with unwinking gray eyes. "Gray," said Andrew aloud, startled from the remote prison of his grief. He leaned closer. Gray as the water of Loch Fyne, he thought. The homesickness which he had denied these 2 years sent a twinge of new pain into his consciousness. His daughter gazed up at him quietly, and after a while he experienced a feeling of solace. The eyes were like his mother's, the gentle Highland mother who had had the gift of second sight, and wisdom and pity.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?